What's up YouTube? This is Waffles with the 5-9 Gaming prank channel. Today's prank is ruining all your opponent's combos. Your opponent wants to summon a bunch of monsters and do their whole combo? How about
no?
They can take a one-way trip to the graveyard with the help of Prankids Battle Butler. Does your opponent have you in a tough spot and think they have game? Nope. Top deck any Prankid and you're basically good to go. This is one of the cheapest and most consistent decks, but it does require kind of a long combo, so sit down, take out your textbooks, and let's study up on the art of pranks. First, let's talk about how the deck works. Each of your normal Prankids monsters, that's Fansies, Dropsies, Roxys, and Lampsies. This is Roxys, this is Lampsies. Basically, each of them will summon a different one of the four whenever you use one of them as a fusion or link material. Each one also has a different secondary effect, but that's not that important. But you use Fansies, Dropsies, Lampsies, and Roxys, which we're just going to call the green one, the blue one, the red one, and the orange one from here on out just because it's a lot easier, but you use them to continually link summon or fusion summon into other monsters. You get more resources, you then reuse those resources and summon out your big boss monster, Prankids Battle Butler. His effect allows you to tribute himself to destroy all monsters your opponent controls at any time, including during their turn. You also have a monster called Prankids Meow Meow Mew, or the cat one, that can be used as costs instead. So if you get Battle Butler out, you essentially have two Raigekis, one using Meow Meow Mew and one just tributing Battle Butler. And then essentially you'll be able to stop any of your opponent's combos, and all it took was one of your 12 normal Prankids monsters. Now you may have noticed a decent amount of URs and SRs in this deck list, but the thing about that is the core of the deck is extremely cheap, but you usually have room to fill with different tech cards. So if you don't have every UR and SR listed here, you really don't need to worry. You can use whatever generic staple cards are in your box to help fill in the gaps. So let's go over how the combo works, and then we'll touch on some different tech pieces you can include at the end. So here's what you do. First, play any of your 4 Prankids and link into Meow Meow the cat. Use the effect of the Prankid you set to summon a different Prankid, probably the green one, so you can get the trap card Prankid's Plan into the grave, but we're going to talk about that one a little bit later in the video. You then link those two into Doodoo Doodle, the chicken. The worst name in the game, but Doodoo Doodle, the chicken. You'll then use its effect to add the spell card Pandemonium to your hand and the effect of the Prankid you sent to the grave as link material to summon another Prankid. Now fuse the chicken and your other Prankid into Rocket Ride. This is really important. You do not want to use Doodle Doodles the chicken's effect to attribute himself yet. You want to fuse first. So you're going to fuse the chicken and your other Prankid into Rocket Ride. You'll summon another Prankid with the one you just used as fusion material, but it should be one of the materials for Battle Butler. The red, the blue, or the green one. Whatever you haven't used as material yet. Now you use Rocket Ride's tribute effect to summon Doodoo Doodle the chicken from the grave and one of the materials for Battle Butler, again the red, the blue, or the green one. You then activate Doodle Doodle's tribute effect to grab Pandemonium and then another material for Battle Butler, which should make it so you have the fusion spell and all the materials to summon Battle Butler, but don't do it yet. Instead, set your fusion spell Pandemonium and activate it as soon as you get into the main phase of your opponent's turn. You want to do it on your opponent's turn because it lets the green, the red, and the blue ones summon more Prankids from the deck, just because they are once per turn normally and you've already used most of their effects before. But now you're ready. You've got Battle Butler out and the cat in the grave, so the next thing you need to do is consider when to use Battle Butler. It's going to be different between decks, but you want to use it after your opponent has committed as many resources as possible, but before they get out their main boss monster. Quite a few meta decks will have some sort of protection for the boss monster, so the key is pranking your opponents into wasting their resources so that they can't recover next turn. You can then keep doing the full combo every turn and setting things up so you can keep making Battle Butler, as long as you have a Prankid on the field or in hand to get everything started. You also have several cards that recycle resources, so most times you're going to win the resource game. But that's the baseline of the deck. You'll need 3 of the green, blue, red, and orange ones, along with at least 2 copies of the cat, the chicken, Rocket Ride, and Battle Butler. You also need 3 copies of Prankid's Pandemonium since that's your fusion spell. I do also recommend having 3 copies of the cat since it is one of the few monsters that you can't recycle, as you do have to banish it when you use its effect. Okay, so here's a really quick match to show you how the combo works in practice. And even here, I actually do mess up part of it. So I'm gonna play Prankids Place first. I do have Prankids Dropsies in hand, so I could normal summon that, but I wanna bait out the Ash Blossom stuff first so it can't be used in my combo. So I'm gonna play Prankids Place right here. However, I actually misclicked and didn't click yes on the activation effect, so I kind of messed up there. However, the combo still works out. We summon Dropsies instead. I go into the cat, meow meow meow. And then I use Dropsies to summon Fansies, the green one, so that I can then send Prankids Plan to the grave. Now, this is why I actually like running 2, because I drew mine in my opening hand, so thankfully I can use Prankids Plan in the grave with my second copy. But I go into the chicken, I use Fansies to send Prankids Plan to the grave, and I grab the orange one, Roxy's, so that I can keep the last one, the red one, as our fusion material later when we go into Rocket Ride. So now I'm gonna go ahead and grab Pandemonium from the grave, or from the deck, I mean, with the chicken. I use Pandemonium, that's what I mean. But I'm gonna use the fusion spell, summon into Rocket Ride, and then we're going to get the red one from the deck right now. So you can also activate Rocket Ride. One of the things I think I mentioned in the next game, we're probably going to show 2 in this video, but in the next game I show that, hey, you can actually use Rocket Ride's effect or Prankids Place's effect to protect your chain. So essentially, you don't really need to activate this effect where you're going to lose 1,000 points and attack directly, because you're just going to get rid of the monster anyways, but you can use that at the end of your chains on PC or mobile to then protect the rest of your chain as you're going through. So essentially, you would put your normal Prankids monsters at the bottom of the chain, activate them first, and then put one of the effects that don't matter at the very end. And then, of course, we use Doodle Doo to grab Pandemonium and our last fusion material. I'm going to set Pandemonium and Called by the Grave, as well as use Prankids Pranks at the end phase to just add a couple of the cards back and draw a card, just for some extra card advantage. But I've got Called by the Grave and Pandemonium face down, and now I have my activation timer to on. So as soon as my opponent does anything in the main phase, I activate Pandemonium, I fusion summon into Battle Butler, so that I can have that ready to go in case they're about to do any sort of weird combos. So if they activate like a weird ritual spell or something like that, I'm able to just remove some of the things that I feel like I'd be worried about on the field or something like that. That's just an example. But then we use Lampsies, Fansies, and Dropsies to summon copies of themselves back out, just to fill out the field for the next turn. Again, I do have Pandemonium in hand as well. So next turn I could make another Battle Butler if I want to. I could go into, gosh darn, Rip-Roaring Roaster if I want to later. And then of course I do activate Prankid Place as the field spell just to give Battle Butler the nice boost. Now, my opponent is going to destroy Prankid's Place and my face down, so I'm actually going to just activate Call by the Grave. I checked which ones seemed like it would be more important to get rid of, so I just got rid of Nightmare Corruption, but normally we would want to hold on to that just in case my opponent uses like Ash Blossom, but they then do their normal summon Lady Debug, and they're about to search for another thing and probably start Link summoning. So immediately I'm like, nope, they've committed enough resources. They have 2 cards in hand, and they'll have a third one after they search. So we activate Battle Butler's effect, and then essentially the game is won. So it's all about figuring out when is my opponent about to do a big thing. And there my opponent was about to start Link summoning. So we just finished them off right there. Now my opponent's got nothing else they can do. The combo has been successful, and then we move forward. Now, when it comes to other Prankids support, you also have your Searcher Prankids Place. It's a field spell that we're running 3 of. It allows you to add a Prankids monster to your hand whenever you activate it. So that essentially just adds more consistency to the already pretty consistent deck. Additionally, if it's on the field and you do a fusion summon, all of your monsters permanently get a 500 attack point boost, which stacks if you do it in the next turn. You can also do a 500 point debuff to your opponent's monsters whenever you Link summon. It's not super necessary, but it can help Battle Butler get over monsters in a few very niche situations when you need it. You've also got a continuous spell called Prankids Pranks, which you can run at 2 or 3. It's just an end card, so I'm running it at 3, and I find that it helps for longer games. The first effect allows you to discard a Prankids card to create a token that you can use for Link summoning. The issue is that since the token doesn't search, it's usually not that helpful. However, during the end phase, you're allowed to put 3 Prankids cards from your graveyard back into your deck and draw a card. This is one of the ways you're going to recycle your monsters back into the deck in longer games and then draw to help you generate card advantage. As if you were lacking for that. And finally, for the main deck, you have a continuous trap, Prankids Plan. I mentioned it briefly with the green Prankid, but you want this in the graveyard. If it's there and your opponent declares an attack, you can banish it to shuffle as many Prankid's cards as you want back into the deck from the grave. The attacking monster will then lose 100 attack points per card you send, but this is essentially the big reset to put everything back into the deck. A lot of people just run it at 1, but I find having 2 helps for longer games, as they're pretty easy to get into the grave with the green one. Now, the monsters in the extra deck that I haven't talked about yet are essentially just the same as the monsters that they're next to, except these ones activate on your opponent's turn. Prankid's Weather Washer is the same as Rocket Ride, but on your opponent's turn. However, it does come with a nice bonus that the monsters it special summons can't be destroyed by battle this turn. You're not really going to use it super often, but it can be helpful. Bow Wow Bark the dog is going to be the counterpart to the chicken. However, this one is actually super important for one reason. When you activate its effect, tributing it to add 2 Prankids cards from your hand to the grave, none of your Prankids monsters can be destroyed by card effects that turn. If you've gotten through the combo and you have Battle Butler out already, I do highly recommend going into this instead of the chicken so that you can have the card destruction protection. And the final one is actually the counterpart to Battle Butler. While Battle Butler destroys all your opponent's monsters, Rip Roarin' Roaster, and should be Coaster, but whatever, Rip Roarin' Roaster destroys all spells and traps that your opponent has. This is helpful in some niche situations, especially against certain Floodgate decks, but you can absolutely run the deck without it. Generally, you're going to be going into Battle Butler instead. So that's all the cards you need to be able to play the deck, and that's only 3 URs and 9 SRs. You can even drop that down to 2 URs if you don't use Rip Roarin' Roaster. So let's talk about the possible techs. One common one you'll see is 3 Thunder Dragons and 1 Thunder Dragon Colossus in the extra deck. It's an extra UR, but I actually do highly recommend running this. It's super easy to fusion summon Colossus or just get him out even without the fusion, as Xyz is also a Thunder monster, and it's essentially just a permanent Ash Blossom while it's on the field, and it has card effect protection and battle protection. The only reason I'm not running him here is that we just didn't have the card points yet. If you do run this, I would also recommend running 2 or 3 polymerizations just in case. Another card you can consider is the Xyz Monster, totally awesome. You can summon it with 2 dropsies and it gives you a negate, but this one is actually not that necessary, even if it is awesome. You can run the generic hand traps like Ash Blossom, Nibiru, Effect Veiler, and Infinite Impermanence. You don't really need Max C since you get so many resources anyways. Called from the Grave I find is a pretty nice tech to stop a lot of different decks and stop other Ash Blossoms. Skill Drain is okay, as you can still use the green, red, orange, and blue one effects since they activate in the graveyard. However, this isn't really an ideal card to use, and one that's really just helpful to get past some of the trickier decks once they've gotten set up if you need to turn off effects. The problem with it is it actually also stops monsters like Battle Butler, as well as Rocket Ride, the Chicken, all of those. Those get stopped by Skill Drain, so you really want to make sure if you're using your Skill Drain that you really only use it in some very specific situations. I'm also running Dark Bribe, as sometimes your opponent will start their turn with some sort of monster removal before they commit to their combo, like a Raigeki or something like that. And I find that negates actually tend to be pretty helpful in a lot of different situations. You can run any sort of spell or trap negation here, and you could even run Royal Decree, as this deck's only needed trap is Prankid's Plan, and you can use that from the graveyard. There's also plenty of other options you can use instead, so just grab the core cards and play around with whatever you've got in your box. So let's jump into a game and show what we learned. Alright, so this first game we're going to show here is actually versus another Prankids deck. So we're going into the mirror match, and you're going to be able to see how you can actually stop other Prankids decks early on to make sure they can't get the combo. So even if you're not running Prankids right now, this is a good educational moment because you can see what you need to do to stop Prankids players when you run into them on the ladder. So in my opening hand, I do have dropsies, but I also have place, and I want to eventually play place so that I can get the nice fusion attack boost with Battle Butler. So what I'm going to do instead of normal summoning dropsies is I'm going to play Prankids place and grab the green one. Now the reason I'm doing this so I can have dropsies later in case I need it, or in case I need to be able to fuse with it because maybe they stop the combo at some point later on. So I'm just keeping dropsies in hand. So I summon the green one, Xyz. I use it to link summon into the cat, and I use the green one to grab the red one from the deck. Essentially, I just try to make sure I go green red or blue red, or just try to go one of the two opening colors, and then I'll go into the chicken and grab the orange one. Now the reason we're doing that is so that I can use the blue one at the end with Rocket Ride. That way I have one of the Battle Butler materials on the field, like we explained in the actual combo part of the video earlier on. So we go ahead, we do that. I have Doodle Doo, I grab the fusion Pandemonium, the fusion spell, and I use it to summon Rocket Ride. Now the problem that we're about to run into is we're about to be Nibiru, and that is kind of an issue for Prankids decks. I think I maybe mentioned it earlier on in this video. I'm not 100% sure quite yet, but you're gonna see we get Nibiru, which does cause a little bit of a problem. Now I'm gonna get rid of VariedGeek because I'm assuming, hey, I've got Battle Butler. I don't really need the VariedGeek as much right now, but I go through the Rocket Ride thing, I get the chicken and the red one out, but that's when we get Nibiru. So this is kind of a problem for us. Now our combo has been stopped. So what I do, I just lay my 2 cards face down. I've got Ash Blossom in hand, and I just need to survive until the next turn, because then I can go with Dropsies. Now my opponent starts his combo. He goes right into Meow Meow Mew. Now he's going to activate the blue one's effect. The good thing though is if I Ash Blossom this right now, he does not have another normal summon, and Meow Meow Mew can't be used to go search for other ones. So I'm going to use my Ash Blossom right now, stop the combo earlier on. Now my opponent is going to play Prankids Place and try to come back so that he can then use Pandemonium and fuse. So I let him do Prankids Place. I figure he's going to search. That's not a huge deal for me. But this is where he had the Pandemonium in hand, so I'm going to Dark Bribe and negate that. That's going to stop him from being able to continue the fusion, continue the chain, and try to come back. So now he's stuck with just Nibiru and the cat. He's going to destroy my token and then hit me with the Meow Meow Mew, and that is still fine. Now we still have Called by the Grave face down, and that's going to be really helpful in a moment because I am a little bit weak to Ash Blossom right now. If I summon Dropsies, thankfully I grab Pandemonium, but if I summon Dropsies and I start the combo again, going into the cat, now Dropsies, just like I did to my opponent, could be Ash Blossomed here. Now I'm going to use Prankids Place the effect. One thing you can do on the PC that you can't do on PlayStation, which as you can see I am playing on PlayStation right now, is you can actually choose the order of which the effects activate. So you should always do Prankids Place last. It can work well to do some chain protection later on. So if you're doing this on mobile, I do recommend activating Prankids Place's effect last. Now we are getting Ash Blossom, so I use Call by the Grave to negate that, and now I can continue with my combo. So you're gonna see I'll kind of speed up a little bit here. I'm gonna run through the entire combo and get Battle Butler out. So we go Fansies, link into the chicken. The chicken brings out I'm gonna, with the chicken, since I have Pandemonium in hand, I'm actually just gonna grab, I think it was Prankids Pranks, the one that sends cards back to the deck, because I just need something to activate the orange one's effect. I need something to banish in hand. So that's what we're going to end up doing with this. So I use Fansies, I drop my other Prankids plan. We use Doodle Doo to grab Prankids Pranks. Now I fuse into Rocket Ride, and now Roxy's, the orange one's effect, is going to activate, and so I need to banish a Prankids Pranks. Now, the reason why we want to have this in hand is that we do not get the special summon effect if we cannot banish for the orange one. So you really have to make sure you do have a card in hand for that. So I do that. I end up drawing Prankids Place. Doesn't really matter, but I'm going to grab the chicken, grab the blue one again, and then I'll use the chicken to grab Pandemonium and the green one. And of course, I'm going to set the fusion spell. We want to make sure we're fusing on the next turn. So I set the fusion spell, pass, and then as soon as my opponent summons something, he summons Fansies right here, I'm going to fuse into Battle Butler. And the reason we're doing that is so I can do it before he starts link summoning. I do not want him to be able to continue the combo, because then he'll start to be able to search. So if I use Battle Butler right now, I can immediately get rid of Fansies and stop my opponent from being able to come back. So I summon Battle Butler. I do activate Prankids Place because I want Battle Butler to get up the extra 500 attack. Of course, that's going to be nice later, but ultimately it's not going to end up mattering because now we've pretty much eliminated all of my opponent's chances to come back. I've got Battle Butler. I have an entire field of other Prankids, and Battle Butler's at 3,500. So my opponent plays Prankids plan and then immediately surrenders because we've won. It goes back to our team. It goes back to our turn. We'll go for damage. We could probably have gotten close to an Oko there. Either way, that's how you end up finishing a Prankids player. You want to stop their combo early because the Meow Meow Mew cannot continue the combo. So if you can stop that first search, you've got it. Or at least if you can stop that first search continually, you've got it.